Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Thanks, sir. Guys, we're waiting for 2 minutes before we start the session, all right? Yes, sir. I saw you. Right. I think there's only Uday sir over here from the teachers. There's no other teacher here. Rest, everyone, I think most of us, them are students. Very nice.
I'm
Today,
here.
sorry.
That's me. I'm here.
Sorry. I just saw it as Anis SPI, so I did not recognize you there.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome for today's session, everyone. Today, we are basically going to talk about the 63 qualities of a teacher. Now, understand, teacher is just a title over here. You could replace that with anything else, and these qualities would still hold true. What do I mean? Instead of the word teacher, you can say 63 qualities of a mother, and it will still hold true. You can say 63 qualities of a brother, of a sister, of a father, of a grandfather, of a friend, of a human. I mean, that will still hold true. So these qualities are universal in essence. At the same time, what you could also say is the 63 qualities of a student, right? Because if you see, a student and teacher are basically just mirror images of each other. We are going to discuss about that today, right? Today's session is basically how our teachers are, and or rather how our teachers should be, and what are the qualities that each of us need to imbibe in ourselves, right? That is the basic topic for the meeting today, right? I'll start slow. Because there's still people joining in. I can see a request of a lot of teachers who are still joining in. So I'll take it a bit slowly, and then probably once all these people join in, we could take it forward, right? So I'm going to wait for maybe a moment or two. I appreciate your patience, everyone. Those of you joined on time, I really appreciate this. Punctuality is one of the most important traits for the teacher. I mean, I've not written that, but then out of those 63 qualities, one being punctuality is really important. At the same time, that is important for any human. If you analyze, that's what I said. These 63 qualities are basically universal in their appeal. They work for anyone and everyone, right? So today's session is for everyone, not only for teachers, right? Students, parents, our telecalling team leaders from there, everyone.
Sir, आप mute हो.
So for which
Yes, Richa.
standard?
Because this is not for any standard. This is basically life skills, right? Life skills for a teacher primarily. That's my focus is a teacher today. But as I've said in the beginning, it could be implemented for any person, any relationship. So these are universal in appeal as such, right? Having said that, I think we have waited for enough time, and we will start with the session. Okay. I'd like to start by this quote. It's a very beautiful quote. The human species thinks in metaphors and learns through stories. Two important things over here. Metaphors are important in life, right? Metaphors are super important in life, right? What are metaphors? Can any one of you tell me? Any of the students? अभी NDA का एग्जाम दिया आप लोगों ने, इंग्लिश था. I'm sure you have studied metaphor. What is a metaphor?
I don't know.
Okay. Any student who could answer me what is a metaphor? It's a part of English. I'm sure. Basic grammar, right? Anyone? It's a part of speech. It's a figure of speech, basically. Right? You all know what are figures of speech, right? You have studied about simile, hyperbole, and all these things. These are just figures of speech. So metaphor is also a figure of speech when you are talking about something, but you're addressing something else. You're not directly addressing that thing. So it's basically comparison between two things that have something in common, right? That's basically metaphor, right? So they could be absolutely polar opposites. They could be absolutely different things, yet they could have something common, right? For example, if this is white in color, I can say, oh, this is the color of snow. I mean, snow ka properties or iska properties totally alag hai, right? But then I'm just trying to compare the common aspects of it. So basically, a metaphor is a figure of speech that is used to make a comparison between two things that aren't alike, but do have something in common. Unlike a simile क्या होता है जहाँ पे दो चीज एक directly comparison होता है, यहाँ पे indirect comparison होता है. ठीक है? Good job, Sath Deshmukh. Right? So basically, human species thinks, we think, our thought process, understand our thought process happens in terms of metaphors. We try to connect things, memory technique. If you have read any book, if you've seen any videos about how to improve your memory technique, it talks about to create allotting different ideas and things to objects which may not be related to them, and then create a story out of it. So metaphors and stories is a common thread across our DNA. Okay, humans, and this was told to us by none other than Mary Catherine Bateson. Who's Mary Catherine Bateson? She was an author, an American author, a writer, and she was an anthropologist as well, a very famous one. She had these two amazing parents, right? Again, I don't want to go into her genealogy right now, but then she had this amazing parents, and she herself was a pretty amazing person as such. I'd like to start this session, this discussion by saying that a student is basically a reflection of a teacher. Okay. Understand what I'm trying to say. मैं ये बोल रहा हूँ, बच्चा जो है, स्टूडेंट जो है, हमारा विद्यार्थी जो है, ये टीचर का, एक गुरु का प्रतिबिंब है. He is just a reflection of the teacher. Why do I say that? Right? If the image on the left hand side is a teacher, let's assume this, right? Then the right hand side, the reflection that you're seeing, that reflection is basically that of a student. What is that important quality about reflection? हमने पढ़ा होगा फिजिक्स में ना, कि जो सामने जैसा है, रिफ्लेक्शन में वैसा ही दिखता है. मतलब जो तुम इनपुट दोगे, वही आउटपुट आएगा. As you sow, so shall you reap. हमने बचपन से प्रोवर्ब पढ़ा है, right? You understand this entire philosophy is based on Newton's third law. हमने Newton's third law पढ़ा है बचपन से. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I'm sure you guys have heard about this, right? Ayana? पढ़ा है नहीं पढ़ा है?
Yes, sir.
What does that say? What do you mean by that? Let us try to understand that in context of a teacher-student relationship. Okay. In terms of a student-teacher relationship, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Understand action किसकी साइड से आ रहा है यहाँ? टीचर की साइड से आ रहा है. स्टूडेंट की साइड से क्या आ रहा है? रिएक्शन आ रहा है. So as a teacher, if you're inside a classroom and if you're not getting the reaction that you want or that you're expecting from a student, then the first line of thought should be what? मेरा action सही है या नहीं. होता क्या हमारा पहला डायरेक्ट रिएक्शन क्या आ जाता है, हम टीचर्स rather than action हम we switch to reaction कि भैया why are you talking, you should not talk, you are always a mischievous student, you don't do this, you don't do that, right? वो reaction है. Action क्या होना चाहिए कि okay, the child is not paying attention. First, what am I saying that is not interesting for the child? वो बच्चे के लिए कैसे इंटरेस्टिंग नहीं है, पहला वो ना सोल सर्चिंग पहले खुद से स्टार्ट होना चाहिए. वो हिंदी में एक बहुत फेमस कहावत है, बहुत सारी मूवीज में सुना होगा, वो एक उंगली किसी और पे उठाओ ना तो 3 उंगली है ना वो आप पे पॉइंट करती है. So before we talk to the student, before we start trying to find out the problems in a child, what are the areas of improvement in a child, first try to find them out within ourselves. First, we need to learn to break the walls inside ourselves. And only when we do that, that we'll be able to adapt our behavior, and then automatically the child will adjust their behavior. Why? Because the child is simply speaking a reflection of your action. बच्चा रिएक्शन ही देगा because वही एक्सपेक्टेड है, एक्शन टीचर से एक्सपेक्टेड है. तो जो भी आपका इंटेंट है, जो भी आपका ये है, उसी के हिसाब से रिएक्शन मिलता है. सो never lose your patience with the child, because as a teacher that's one important trait that we should have, patience. One of the most fundamental things that we should have is patience, right? That's one of the most basic things. The day you lose your patience in the class is the day that a teacher is at his or her weakest I'm saying weakest. जिस दिन आप बच्चों को चिल्लाते हो बहुत जोर जोर से, जिस दिन आप बच्चे को चिल्लाते हो ना, अगर कुछ होता है ना, sometimes we lose it, yeah, you too, right? The moment you are yelling at a child, you are at your weakest, right? As Asif sir has rightly said, if a student fails, the entire system fails, right? Thank you so much for sharing that, Asif sir, right? Having said that, it's the same policy. If you, whatever your input, if you teach something wrong, you'll get the reaction as wrong. You teach something nice and beautiful, you'll get that reaction of being nice and that beautiful and that gentleness. ठीक है? तो अगर हम पहला चीज में यही बोल रहा हूँ as teachers, focus पहला कहाँ होना चाहिए पता है? Not on the student. I know what I'm saying is exactly opposite or very contradictory to normally हमने जो किया है अभी तक. हम बोलते बच्चों पे फोकस रखो, बच्चों पे फोकस रखो, बट पहला फोकस बच्चों पे फोकस रखना है हमको. I'm not saying नहीं, बट पहला फोकस जो है, the first focus should lie on us. Okay, what I am saying, how I am saying, how I am standing, how my hands are moving, am I smiling or not? Right? बहुत important. Smile is such a small thing, but that could be the biggest differentiator between your lecture or any other teacher's lecture, right? So पहला फोकस अपने आप पे रखना है, बिकॉज इनपुट यहाँ से जा रहा है. देखो एक जूता बनाने की मशीन है, एक जूता बनाने की फैक्ट्री है अगर आपकी, तो मान लो लेदर शूज, यू आर मेकिंग लेदर शूज, अगर वो लेदर अच्छी क्वालिटी का नहीं है तो जूता अच्छी क्वालिटी का नहीं कैसे निकलेगा, राइट? बट अगर लेदर बहुत अच्छी क्वालिटी का, उसको अच्छे से प्रोसेस किया, तो ऑब्वियसली द शू का क्वालिटी विल आल्सो गो अप. दैट्स व्हाई यू पे अ ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ मनी व्हेन यू बाय हश पपीज or if you buy any local generic brand. Why do you pay that big buck when you go and buy Hush Puppies ka shoes? Because you know and you believe in that quality of the shoe. When you buy Bali ka shoes, you know that the quality is amazing. I just gave an example of this machine as shoe producing. It could be anything. If you're making something, if you're cooking something, if the ingredients are right, the food will turn out to be good, right? So teachers, हमारा काम वो ingredients पहुंचाना है. तो पहला वो इंग्रेडिएंट सही है नहीं कि पहला चेक, पहला फोकस वहां होना चाहिए वो इंग्रेडिएंट सही है या नहीं. एंड आज हम वो इंग्रेडिएंट्स की बात करने वाले हैं. टुडेस डिस्कशन इज नॉट अबाउट क्लास कंट्रोल. आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गो इनटू दैट ऑल दैट. टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक अबाउट द इंग्रेडिएंट्स दैट वी आर गोइंग टू तो इंग्रेडिएंट्स आने के लिए क्या क्वालिटीज चाहिए, वो क्वालिटीज कौन सी होनी चाहिए, दैट विल रिजल्ट इनटू द कल्टीवेशन ऑफ द राइट इंग्रेडिएंट. ठीक है? आई होप सो आई सेट द राइट एक्सपेक्टेशन ऑफ दिस सेशन. ठीक है? ये सेशन से ऐसा कोई आपको एक्शनेबल इनसाइट्स नहीं देने वालों कि मैं यार बच्चा मस्ती करता है क्लास में, डू दिस, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगा. उसके सेशंस अलग होते हैं, हम लोग विल टेक दो सेशंस सम अदर डे. ठीक है? आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू से इफ द चाइल्ड इज नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड द कांसेप्ट, ट्राई दिस मेथड, ये हो जाएगा. व्हाट आर द क्वेश्चनिंग, दैट इज नॉट द एक्सपेक्टेशन आउट ऑफ दिस सेशन. we are going back to the foundation, back to being a teacher, right? Today we are going to ask a question, why are you a teacher? You don't have to answer that to me. That answer is for yourself, राइट? बिकॉज वो आंसर जो आप आपके लिए चूज करते हो उसका रेपरकशंस आपको ही देखना है, मुझको नहीं देखना है. इट डजंट अफेक्ट मी, इट विल अफेक्ट यू. इट डजंट अफेक्ट एनी वन ऑफ अस. देयर इज अबाउट हाउ मेनी ऑफ अस? There's about 57 of us here, right? So the answer to those questions are going to be guidelines for yourself and not for anyone else, right? Just a second here, right? Moving forward. So these, what you see on the screen, are 63 qualities that a teacher should have. Or as I said, teacher is just a title. Any person, any relationship should have these. Right? You can pick up any one of them and try to apply to yourself, and I'm sure they'll turn out to be positive. There could be some which will not make sense when you just read it, but when we dwell deeper into them, that time it will make sense to you. So that's our lecture for the day. These are the 63 qualities. Just read them and it is done, right? No, it is not. We are going to dive deeper into this, right? I understand. At the outset, I would like to acknowledge that I am aware that
Hello.
hi people, I'm back. Actually, I hope so. I'm audible, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. So what happened was basically my network ditched me, but then that's all right. See, these are very practical challenges that we could face. There are two ways in which you could have, I could have reacted in this. I could have gone all blitzkrieg, ऐसा कैसे internet चला गया है, but that anger would be with me. It won't be with anyone, right? Or that I okay, ठीक है, practical issue, not an issue. आ जाएगा, let's continue. Guys, I'm not trying to say मैं महान. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to say how do you react to a problem is important. Problem है, पहला accept. Okay, fine, है. Then let's proceed. Anyway, as I was saying, these are the 63 qualities that the teacher should have, right? And we are going to dive deeper into these qualities. For the sake and convenience, and because of the time that we have, what I have done is I have segregated these into some headlines. For example, the first topic would be finding happiness. That's one of the qualities, finding happiness. But then if you analyze, there are lots of properties that can come under the same ambit of finding happiness. Right. For example, if you look at these all qualities, right, all of these could be used for finding happiness. Right. We are going to talk about these. We are going to go into details about these qualities, at least that you're seeing on screen. Just to read out aloud, one of the biggest ones would be attitude of gratitude. We are going to have, I'm going to tell you a short story based on this today. Giving your best, not being judgmental, knowing yourself, being the change, knowing to ignore is also very important. Inner beauty, enjoying life, power of sharing, and ownership. We are going to talk about all of these, but before I go into these qualities, देखिए ये qualities second step पे आती है. पहला step पे क्या आता है वो समझते हैं लोग. पहला step ये है, define teaching for yourself. आपके लिए what is teaching? ठीक है, for students, those of you who are students here, define what is learning for you. इसका आंसर मुझे मत दीजिए. If you want to share, I'm absolutely okay. I'll be more than thrilled to hear your answer. But if you don't want to, because sometimes it could be a very personal answer. If you want to keep it to yourself, absolutely fine. Because ये तो हमारा सबसे पहला है ना, हमारा intent. See, thought results into actions. Your intent results into thought. I am planning on doing something, then I'll attract that thought, then I'll do that. So पहला तो let's define today. हम पढ़ा रहे हैं, हम क्यों पढ़ा रहे हैं? There could be multiple reasons, as varied. It could be very varied reasons. It could be colorful reasons. It could be absolutely black and white reasons that I'm earning because मेरे को पैसा मिलता है. There's no right or wrong over here. पहला तो ये समझना है हमको. इसमें कोई सही गलत नहीं है. वो सही गलत के झंझट में पड़ना ही नहीं. These are information that makes sense to you. If it makes sense to you, it is right. If it doesn't, it's okay. It is not wrong. It is okay. Because किसी और के लिए वो सही है. If someone is teaching because उनके लिए यार देखो पैसा अच्छा मिल जाता है इससे, वो उनके लिए सही है, उनका सत्य है. हर एक का सत्य अलग हो सकता है. दो अलग अलग इंसानों का सत्य सेम. गहरी हिंदी बोली मैंने, इतनी हिंदी में बोलता नहीं. ठीक है, राइट. So as I said, you need to first define teaching for yourself. It could be a means to an end. It could be simply be a means to an end. I do it because of this. I do it because of this or whatever. Or it could be because it's a way of life. दोनों methods हो सकते हैं. For someone it could be a way of life. No. For me it's a way of life. Teaching is my life. ठीक है. So the people who have molded their entire lives based on teaching itself. A simple example would be, you're out with your friends as teachers, let's say if there's any, you're in the market, you're haggling with that vendor. So sabji bhaji kharidne gaye hum log, वो बोलता है भैया 10 रुपए की सब्जी है, and as a teacher you are like, अरे यार तुम 5 रुपए की दो ना यार, ऐसा कैसा. And suddenly पीछे से एक बच्चा आता है, good morning miss, good morning sir, and suddenly your entire aura changes. You stop that haggling with the vendor. अच्छा भैया ठीक है 7 रुपए में दे दो. Why did that happen? Why did that happen? वो change क्यों आया? आपने बच्चे की आवाज सुनी, आपने टर्न को बाद में बच्चे को देखा. But the moment that happened, your entire personality changes. Because as a teacher, when you are inside the class, you are a different person, and when you're outside the class, you're a totally different individual. But then there are people who take that persona of the classroom to outside world as well. That is their choice. Okay. Basically, if it is a way of life, okay, then the path appears only to those who look for it. ये बहुत important saying है. अगर आप सोच रहे हो कहीं पे मंजिल एक आपकी है, वहां पे जाना कैसे है, अगर आप ढूंढ रहे हो, only when you actively start searching for the path that the path will appear. Not everyone is born as a teacher. ठीक है, everyone was born as a person and you chose to become a teacher, or you became teacher by accident. दोनों possibilities है. I became a teacher by accident, but this is the 17th year I am teaching. First year was an accident. मैं बन गया टीचर, मैं सोचा नहीं था बन गया. But उसके बाद I consciously chose to be a teacher because I was enjoying the process of being a teacher. When you're inside the classroom, when you interact with the students and all that, right? The amount of respect that you get, right? That could be a factor for someone. I'll have to define it for yourself and write it down somewhere if you could. Teach all teachers who are here. I'm not sure how many teachers are here, but if there's any teachers over here, write
Yes,
it
sir,
down.
we are here.
Right. Thank you for being there, sir. Right. Again, now we are going to delve deeper into all of these. Finding happiness कैसे होता है? पहला basic. You are the teacher. In activities which is directly or indirectly involved with teaching, then what should be your denominator for identifying whether this is happiness or not happiness? Right? One of the simplest way I'll say is observe your classroom. If this is your classroom and these are your pupils, this big guy, if you could follow my class, is you. You are in the class and these are your pupils. These are your students inside the classroom. सबसे बेहतरीन तरीका मैं मानता हूँ, imagine करो if you're outside, if you're standing in this window right now and looking in the class, observe the expressions of the children in the class. Are they happy? Are they not? If they are happy, I'm sure you will be happy. A happy class. If they're not happy, I'm sure you're not happy because you're not sadists, we are teachers, right? If they're not happy by whatever reason, right, then I think it is our responsibility to make sure that there should be a smile on the face of the child when they're in your class. Go back to your childhood days. Go back to your 5th standard. Go back to your 6th standard. ठीक है? Remember कभी एक टीचर का कोई आपके हम सबकी जिंदगी में एक खड़ूस टीचर रही है और एक बहुत प्यारी टीचर रही है. ठीक है? I've been a teacher, we are like, अरे यार ये टीचर का लेक्चर है क्यों आ गया, ये टीचर आज एब्सेंट रहना चाहिए. हम सब क्लास एज अ होल मिलकर दुआ मांगते आज ये टीचर एब्सेंट रहना चाहिए, और कभी कभी वो सच हो जाता है, वो टीचर एब्सेंट हो गई. And imagine in that lecture, your favorite teacher just walks into the class. walks in, she hasn't seen you, she hasn't even acknowledged you, how happy were you? Just looking at that, अरे यार ये teacher आगे मजा आने वाला है, right? Does that happen in our class today? The moment you walk in, is that the reaction of the children? Do the children say, यार आज मजा आने वाला, we are going to enjoy this session? Because that is the basis of how it should be now. कि हम कैसे करने वाले हैं. We should always draw from I'm sure she or he must have done something right because of which you said, "Are ye mera favorite teacher hai." You should take that and replicate that in your class. At the same time, there was a teacher, and let's be honest, हम सबकी जिंदगी में से हम लोग यार ये teacher मजा नहीं आता यार, right? And try to analyze from this maturity that you have now, कि वो teacher ने ऐसा क्या किया था, ठीक है, जिसकी वजह से you used to not like that teacher. Whether उनका delivery सही नहीं था या उनके example सही नहीं थे, उनका body language में problem था. She was always a very lethargic person. I had a teacher who was very mathematics teacher. She will not write on the board. She'll just be seated आराम से ऐसा, right? And she'll be eating something continuously in the class. And I'm like, यार क्या कर रहे? But then वो teacher ने मुझे बहुत important चीज सिखाई थी, जो मैं आज तक नहीं भूला. खैर, that's a different discussion for some other day. So take from your experiences and learn from some staff room में बैठ के जब सीखो. कला है, ठीक है, जरूरी हम गलतियां करके सीखें, गलतियां करना चाहिए, नहीं करना चाहिए, that's how you learn. गलतियों को दोहराना नहीं चाहिए, that's all I say, right? So your classroom is a good judge of how your life is. Because again, you're spending 8 hours. Some teachers I know personally, यहाँ पे classes में हमारे teachers 12-12 घंटा यहीं पे रहते हैं पढ़ा. अगर उनको यहीं पे मजा नहीं है, right? Classroom they're not happy and the students are not happy, then that is a reflection of the life, because they, at the end of the day, whatever happens in the class, you take it home. If एक दिन एक बच्चे ने उठो, मैम आज क्या पढ़ाया आपने, सर आपने कहा एकदम मजा आ गया, सर huge fan of yours. तो बच्चे ने कॉम्प्लीमेंट दे दिया आपको, या सुबह आप आए क्लास में बच्चे ने आपको कॉम्प्लीमेंट, सर वेरी नाइस शर्ट, या ब्यूटीफुल शर्ट, या गुड ड्रेस. You take that home and you tell it to your partner. Like, you know, लोगों ने बहुत मजा आया था सीखने के लिए. They're not happy with that, and you just am I audible? Is that clear? Excellent.
हाँ सर.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So मैं यही बोल रहा था, हमारा जो है basically वो वही होने वाला है. So that's basically a reflection on your life. ठीक है? Make sure that your classroom is a happy place for the student first. Why? Because they're happy, you'll be happy, and once you are happy, your life will be happy. And once you are happy, then everyone in your family would also be happy because they love us. They do, I'm sure. Right? Basically वही था. अभी हम लोग बात करते हैं हर एक क्वालिटी की. यहाँ पे जो हमने क्वालिटीज की बात की थी, गिविंग योर बेस्ट, नॉट बीइंग जजमेंटल, let's try to break them down and try to understand. First and foremost, I'd like to talk about being gratefulness. having the quality of gratefulness. As teachers, what you're trying to do is you're trying to create the future of an entire nation. You're trying to create, because of globalization, you're trying to create the future of this world. अब तक के क्या हुआ उसकी जिम्मेदारी हम पे नहीं है. आज से 25 साल बाद क्या होगा उसकी जिम्मेदारी हम पर है. आज से 25 साल बाद जो आने वाले उनकी तरबियत सही नहीं हुई है तो उसका क्वेश्चन हम पे आने वाला है कि तुमने क्या सिखाया. इतनी बड़ी जिम्मेदारी हमसे. पहला, so we need to be grateful that we have been given this opportunity to teach. A, because it's a very noble profession. B, it's a very humbling experience, right? C, it's a very respectful profession because society respects teachers, right? So A, are we grateful? You know, हर एक क्लास में जाने से पहले are we thankful enough that we got that opportunity that day to teach that class? The people, especially in this lockdown, offline lectures नहीं है कहीं पे यार. I'm sure 1-2 साल से टीचर, there are so many teachers जिन्होंने ऑफलाइन लेक्चर नहीं लिया. अगर आपको गलती से ऑफलाइन लेक्चर का चांस मिल रहा है तो आर यू थैंकफुल फॉर दैट? ऑनलाइन लेक्चर लेने में कितना मजा आता है आपको भी मालूम है, मेरे को भी मालूम है. इट हैज अ डिफरेंट चार्म, बट देन ऑफलाइन का जो क्राउड के सामने जो अपील है, दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग, राइट? You could never take a teacher outside of a classroom. You could never do that. So A, are we grateful for that? Okay? A very important quality that a teacher should have is gratefulness. Why? A, first, there are students in the class. अगर बच्चे मास बंक कर लिए, अगर बच्चे आए नहीं आपकी क्लास में पढ़ाओगे, तो पहला तो लेट्स बी ग्रेटफुल कि बच्चे आपकी क्लास आए हैं. ठीक है, पहला चीज ये है. सेकंड, ऑलवेज पुट योर बेस्ट फुट फॉरवर्ड. दैट इज गिविंग योर बेस्ट. What do I mean by that? हमेशा हम बोलते हैं ना यार मैं अच्छा पढ़ाऊंगा, मैं अच्छा करूंगा. कंपैरिजन होता है, कंपैरिजन होना भी चाहिए, बहुत जरूरी है कंपैरिजन जिंदगी में. बट कंपैरिजन किससे कर रहे हो वो ज्यादा है. अगर आप कंपैरिजन किसी बाजू वाले से कर रहे हो कि यार वो देखो शर्मा जी का बेटा हर एक की जिंदगी में है. हम टीचर्स की भी जिंदगी में शर्मा जी का बेटा होता है. बट वो शर्मा जी का बेटा टैग है, एक टाइटल है. वो टाइटल आप किसको देते हो? वो आप किसी पड़ोसी को देते हो या किसी जान पहचान वाले को देते हो? चॉइस इज आवर्स. मैं ये बोलता हूँ वो शर्मा जी का बेटा टाइटल शुड नॉट बी टू एनीवन बट इट शुड बी विद आवर फ्यूचर. टाइटल शर्मा जी का बेटा, इवन एज स्टूडेंट्स, दैट टाइटल है ना शर्मा जी का बेटा शुड बी विद योर फ्यूचर. आप कंपैरिजन होना चाहिए आपके पास से कि मैंने कल ऐसा पढ़ाया था, आज मैं उससे बेहतर करूं. ठीक है, ज्यादा नहीं करना है. वन इंक्रीमेंटल स्टेप एट वन डे. किसी दिन नहीं भी हुआ तो इट्स ऑल राइट. But only when you compare yourself with your own past that you will have that feeling of happiness. Why? If I were to compare with myself with someone else, there's only two possibilities. एक, या तो मैं बहुत खुश होऊंगा यार मैं बहुत अच्छा है, इसको तो कुछ आता नहीं है. बी, मैं बहुत दुखी हो जाऊंगा उससे, यार इसको तो कितना आता है, मेरे को तो कुछ आता ही नहीं है. कंपैरिजन आपका खुद से करो, खुद के अतीत से करो. इसके अतीत से करना क्यों जरूरी? ताकि अपना भविष्य सही हो जाए. यार बहुत कड़क हिंदी बोल दिया मैंने यार. आई डिड नॉट एक्सपेक्ट मैं बोलूंगा ये, राइट? सो बेसिकली इंपॉर्टेंट चीज क्या है कि ऑलवेज गिव योर बेस्ट by comparing yourself with your own past. Same goes for students as well. You need to compare yourself. Obviously, you can have models. You can have role models. That is a different thing altogether to have a role model. As a child, you know, this is your topper of the class. That could be a role model. Okay, I want to be like that. I want to be there. Or you can have some other person as the role model. That's your choice. But your comparison, यार कल मैं ना इतनी देर पढ़ा, कल मैं 1 ही घंटा पढ़ा, आज मैं 2 घंटा किया. That's improvement. आई नो 1 का 2 नहीं होगा, 1 घंटे का 1 घंटा 5 मिनट होगा. डेली 5 मिनट एक्स्ट्रा पढ़ने की कैपेसिटी रख लो ना तुम, तो तुमको 7 दिन में ना तुम्हारा बहुत ज्यादा टाइम बढ़ जाएगा. आज 1 घंटा था, कल 1 घंटा 5 मिनट होगा, फिर 1 घंटा 10 मिनट होगा, फिर 1.25 घंटा हो जाएगा, 1.5 घंटा हो जाएगा. 7 दिन में आधे घंटे ज्यादा 35 मिनट का आपका कैपेसिटी बढ़ जाता है. बट आपको 5 मिनट एक्स्ट्रा डेली देने हैं. होता क्या है, टाइम पे हमने देखा गया है तो साल भर कुछ नहीं करते, लास्ट मिनट 2 रात पहले फुल सिलेबस खत्म एंड वी आर वेरी हैप्पी. बट देन व्हाट यू आर डूइंग इज cramming, and cramming is not going to help you anyway. It is going to get you those marks. It is not going to give you knowledge. It is not going to help you retain that information. That happens when you practice every day and you work hard every day. आप साल भर का खाना एक साथ खा के नहीं होता ना. हफ्ते भर का खाना, आज संडे में पूरा हफ्ते भर का खाना खाता हूँ, हफ्ता भर नहीं खाऊंगा. Will it work? No. It will backfire. You will fall. So then you're eating food daily every day थोड़ा थोड़ा ना. अच्छा दिन का भी, एक दिन का भी खाना एक साथ नहीं खाते हम. We eat it in bits and pieces. Breakfast का time अलग है, lunch का time अलग है, किसी का mid morning snack भी हो जाता है. But then again, it's in bits and pieces. So when you cram up everything together, it is not going to be of any वो futility है, वो futile है attempt. ठीक है. पहला तो चीज हो गया give your best. Again, we can talk for the next 1 hour. We can talk about each individual quality. Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of time today. So I'm just going to introduce these qualities. You take it forward with your own understanding and with your own research. I mean, internet है, Google है, सबके पास. Just Google, try to find other countless videos on YouTube available with each individual quality, and they'll do much more better justice than what I could ever do to these. एक ये second point है ना, बहुत जरूरी है, बहुत important है. Not being judgmental. By human nature, we are judgmental. पहला चीज तो ये. By default, अपना core cellular level पे जाओ ना, अपना cell is judgmental. ठीक है. So you cannot say I am not going to be judgmental. What we could do is we could try to reduce it, every day, or at least when you're trying to judge someone. Acha, how do you do that? You are being judgmental today, and tomorrow you say I'm not being judgmental. एक दिन का gap, you need to practice being non-judgmental. It takes time. Acha, it is possible. कैसे होगा? पहला तो the moment you start judging someone, first to acknowledge and tell your mind, ए भैया I'm judging this person. And इंसानों को जज करने के लिए कुछ नहीं लगता है. हमारे पास वो इंस्टाग्राम के फिल्टर्स है ना, हमारी आंखों के लिए फिल्टर्स है अलग अलग बहुत सारे. अगर आपके दोस्त ने कुछ किया ना, हमारे पास एक नया सिंपैथी वाला फिल्टर आता है, नहीं नहीं यार प्रॉब्लम था इसका, समझ जाओ ना, ऐसे हुआ होगा, वैसे हुआ होगा. बट इफ यू डोंट लाइक अ पर्सन एंड उसने कुछ माइल्डली इरिटेटिंग भी अगर किया ना, तो हमारे पास ये जजमेंट वाला फिल्टर आ जाता है. ये ना ऐसे ही करता है, हम धंधा ही नहीं इसको, हमेशा का नाटक है इसका. हुआ कि आपने को मालूम भी नहीं इसने क्या किया क्या नहीं किया. How do you stop doing that? How do you stop doing that? And why it is important for the teacher is because more often than not, we start judging a student. We should never judge a student. Every student has a capacity. Every student has a caliber. हमें उसका caliber समझना है, हमें उसकी capacity समझना है, and then we need to work towards that. There cannot be a single pill for everyone. वो रामबाण इलाज नहीं अपने पास. एक दवा दे दिया सबके लिए काम हो गया. मैजिक पिल नहीं है ना. बच्चों अगर क्लास में आपके 50 बच्चे तो 50 अलग अलग माइंड है. Okay, they're not 50 machines who are going to think alike, who are going to talk alike, who are going to react alike. No, they're 15 beautiful minds thinking differently, reacting differently. So we first need to understand the child. If a child is not answering on a particular day, try to understand the reason behind it rather than के क्या हो गया इसको, अभी आंसर नहीं दे रहा है, क्यों नहीं दे रहा है, पहले वो समझो. Directly reactionary mode में नहीं जाना है. To stop being judgmental. I don't want to, I understand it may be sounding like a bit too preachy on my part, but ये बहुत important है. These are the fundamental things. I think हम B.Ed courses करते हैं ना, B.Ed में पहला टीचर्स को ये सिखाना चाहिए. Unfortunately हम लोगों को B.Ed में वो प्रोजेक्ट लिखने दिए जाते हैं जो हम खाली छापते हैं. आधे से ज्यादा टाइम हम लिखते भी नहीं, बाजू वाले को किसी को दे देते लिखने, भाई तो लिख ले दे दे, और वैसा B.Ed हो रहा है. B.Ed should be instilling the attitude of being a teacher, because वो attitude होना चाहिए कि भाई मैं टीचर हूँ, समझो. मैं कोई ऐरा गैरा नत्थु गैरा नहीं हूँ. I'm a teacher. I'm a superhero. I am. Why not? I'm creating the future of this world. Do we feel that powerful? If not, we should. We are powerful. हम एक बच्चे की जिंदगी का, उसका पूरा फ्यूचर शेप कर सकते हैं. इतना पावर या डिस्ट्रॉय कर सकते हैं, इतना पावर है. Our words are very powerful. They carry weight. So if you say something in the class which is absolutely futile, or loose statement, it can destroy someone's confidence or कुछ नहीं हो सकता. At the same time, we can say someone के यार नहीं यार तू कर लेगा, तू टेंशन मत ले, हो जाएगा, मैं हूँ तेरे साथ. एक छोटा सा स्टोरी याद आया मुझको. Ideally, I was not supposed to share the story at this point. एक स्कूल, एक वेडिंग में एक स्टूडेंट अपने टीचर को देखता है. बहुत बुरा हो गया टीचर बच्चे को नहीं पहचानता है, और बच्चा जाता है टीचर, गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड आफ्टरनून, you may not remember me but I remember you. But you protected my dignity. That's what that child says. You protected my dignity. तुमने मेरी इज्जत बचा ली थी. टीचर बोलता है बेटा, I don't know what you're talking about. It's been very wrong. Please forgive my memory. I'll tell you a story. And you'll remember. Sorry. And the child says, I was my third standard. One of my friends, one of the students in the class, I had a very beautiful watch and I really liked the watch. Out of because I couldn't afford it, out of jealousy, out of whatever time उसने वो बच्चे ने बैग में रखा था, right? Watch. What I did is I stole that watch and I kept it in my pocket. After recess, it was your class, and when you entered the class, that student went to you and said, "Sir, my watch is missing." What you did is you requested all of us to first stand up and first requested if any one of you has that watch, you please return the watch. Unfortunately, I was scared that the moment you will find out that the watch is with me, you will announce it in front of the class that he's the thief. He's the one who stole the watch, and I'll lose all reputation and I'll lose all of my year of hard work, because that was a moment where I was weak and I stole that watch. But then I was having guilt in my heart for stealing that watch. But I was surprised at what you did that day. You asked all of us to close our eyes, and then you went and searched our pockets. When you reached me, you found the watch. You didn't tell me anything. You did not even ask me why did I steal the watch. You took the watch. You continued searching everyone's pocket, and in the end, you asked everyone to open the eye, and you showed the watch, and you gave the watch to the child. You never told the watch was with whom. So till day, sir, I cannot be grateful enough that you protected my dignity that day. The teacher answers, "Bacha, I really don't know who stole the watch, because even my eyes were shut that day. So I did not know, I do not remember who actually stole, because even my eyes were shut." Understand what the teacher did. वो छोटा सा चीज put the child on. हम लोग क्या करते हैं, इसने चोरी है, चोर है ये, फटका मारो, ये करो, वो करो. हो गया गलती सबसे होता है. या तो उसको अलग से लेके जाके समझाओ, क्लास के सामने हमको बताने की जरूरत नहीं है, right? You should not be judgmental. That single act of kindness put the child onto a different trajectory. हम teachers here to be able to make a difference in the life of a child. हमने उसको चोर उचक्का उस दिन बोल दिया होता, शायद हमारे बोलने से और मोटिवेट होकर चोर उचक्का ही बन गया होता जिंदगी में. But just because we showed kindness, when it was not expected that a teacher will show kindness, na? But the teacher showed kindness and put the child onto a different trajectory altogether, but the child became a good person. At the end of the day, what is important? For us to become good, better doctors, better engineers, better anything, or better humans first. I think the goal should be to become better humans first, right? Again, power of sharing. Teachers. I think the only person who is the most selfless in the world is a mother. And teachers are supposed to be the academic parent of a child. The teacher should always be all sharing. Knowledge जो ज्ञान है वो देने से ही बढ़ेगा. If you learn something new today, and if you don't tell your colleague who is the same subject teacher कि नहीं मेरा क्लास अच्छा जाना चाहिए, मैं क्यों बताऊं, मैंने बड़ी मेहनत से निकाला. No, नुकसान आपका है. आप शेयर करोगे ना, it is going to help, because एक बच्चे को जो मोल्डिंग होता है, that is not an individual activity, that's a team activity. So everyone should have the same thought process. या बच्चे का भला होना चाहिए, बच्चे के लिए बेटर क्या है. If all of us have that attitude and that thought process, the child would end up becoming a better human first, and most importantly, to become a better human. We need to teach the children to become better humans. Only when they become better humans that they could become better doctors, better engineers, better artists, better poets, better singers, better actors, or better whoever they want to be. बहुत अच्छा डॉक्टर बन. Sorry, yes. Sorry. बच्चा आवाज नहीं आ रही आपकी. Bacha, I'm not able to hear you. You're trying to say something. Anas, ye le na. All right. All right. So basically, power of sharing वो ये कि जितना आप knowledge share करोगे, ये सब, I'm sure all of you know about this. We have about 15 minutes, so I think मैं एक attitude of gratitude का expose. अच्छा, being the change that you want to see in the child. खुद में वो changes लाओ जो आप बच्चों में देखना चाहते हैं. As a teacher, you don't only affect the child with what you're saying. What you say in the class accounts for only 7%. Words account only for 7% of your class impact. 58% of your class is your body language. जो अनकही बातें हैं ना, बच्चों को ज्यादा वो इफेक्ट करती है. अब इसका एग्जांपल, एक क्लासिक एग्जांपल, तो कभी आप बहुत बुरे मूड में हो, आपके रिक्शा वाले से झगड़ा हो गया, उसने छुट्टा नहीं दिया, एंड यू जस्ट वॉक इन इनटू द क्लास लाइक दैट, इमीडिएटली बच्चा पूछे सर क्या हो गया, आज का मूड ठीक नहीं, आपने तो कुछ बोला नहीं उसको, उसको कैसे समझ में आया? आप बॉडी लैंग्वेज अकाउंट फॉर 58% ऑफ अ टीचिंग। तो अगर आपका मूड खराब है तो पहला चीज ये करना चाहिए कि दरवाजे में घुसने से पहले 1 मिनट रुक जाओ, प्रे टू द ऑलमाइटी कि whichever God you believe in, right, or whichever power you believe in, yeah, Khuda, thank you for this opportunity. Let me calm down, and then go with that intensity and energy. Have a positive outlook. The moment you go inside the class, it should be a calming effect on you. आप वो गुस्से से जाओगे, आप क्या करोगे? वो रिक्शा वाले का गुस्सा बच्चे पे निकालोगे। बच्चे ने क्या किया? बच्चे ने थोड़ी छूटा नहीं दिया आपको, रिक्शा वाले छूटा नहीं दिया। बट अक्सर ऐसा देखा गया है कि हम गुस्सा उन्हीं पे निकालते हैं जो हमसे कमजोर है। Be it in wherever context you want to take it, right? जो गलत हो जाता है गुस्सा उन पे क्यों निकाल रहे हो जो तुमसे कमजोर है? गुस्सा निकालना उन पे निकालो जो पॉइंट ऑफ स्टेट और स्टेट ऑफ अथॉरिटी, पावर है जिसके पास। हम नहीं निकालते, हम वहां पे हम सुन लेंगे 2 बार, सामने वाले की गलती भी है तो काहे। खैर ये बहुत लंबा डिस्कशन मैं अभी करना नहीं चाहता हूँ, मैं अभी 2 घंटा अगला इसी पे बात करूंगा। तो अगेन पावर ऑफ शेयरिंग, नो टू इग्नोर एंड नो योरसेल्फ, दोनों चीजें मैंने साथ में लिखी है। पहला तो नो योरसेल्फ बट ऑल्सो नो टू इग्नोर। क्या लेना है क्या छोड़ना है बहुत जरूरी है। सब कुछ लेना नहीं है, क्योंकि दिन में व्हेन यू आर इन सोसाइटी, सोसाइटी विल थ्रो एवरीथिंग, गुड थिंग्स एज वेल एज बैड थिंग्स। क्या पकड़ना है क्या छोड़ना है बहुत जरूरी है। अब बहुत लोगों को टेंशन होता है ना, अगर आप सोसाइटी का सोचने लगोगे तो सोसाइटी क्या करेगी। So stop thinking about the society, stop thinking about what people are going to think. As I said, if you start thinking about what people are going to think, I mean, what are they going to do then? Learn to ignore stuff. ये है छोड़ जाने दी, doesn't matter. Always ask yourself this question, अभी जो हुआ ये अगले 10 साल में कितना इम्पैक्ट करने वाला है मेरे को। If the answer is बहुत ज्यादा, okay, give it a thought. If the answer is no, it is not going to matter, then you should not give it enough importance to focus over there, right? So knowing yourself goes in hand with knowing to ignore, right? Inner beauty हर एक के अंदर अच्छाई है, उसे देखो, नहीं दिखती है तो ढूंढो, ढूंढती है अगर ढूंढने के बाद दिखती है मिलती है तो उसको मिलके निकालो, उभारो उसको। यही टीचर का काम है, बच्चों की इनर ब्यूटी को निकालना, ठीक है। हर एक में अच्छा है, हर एक बच्चा चाहता है अच्छा करे, हर एक बच्चा चाहता है कि वो अच्छे से पढ़ाई करे, हर एक बच्चा चाहता है कि वो अच्छा इंसान बने, राइट। तो एज टीचर्स हमें बच्चों को इनोवेटिव लर्निंग, पजल्स, गेम्स, इन सब चीजों का भी आज लेके सिखाना चाहिए। द डिफरेंट वेज एंड ऑफ चाइल्ड कुड लर्न, ट्राई टू आइडेंटिफाई वो इधर विजुअल लर्नर है, ऑडिटरी लर्नर है या काइनेस्थेटिक लर्नर है। काइनेस्थेटिक लर्नर तो गिव देम पजल्स, ठीक है। काइनेस्थेटिक बाय डूइंग, द वर्ड काइनेस्थेटिक कम्स फ्रॉम एक्टिविटी बेस्ड लर्निंग। मैथमेटिक्स में बहुत सारी एक्टिविटी बेस्ड लर्निंग कर सकते हैं। मैथ बहुत लोगों को बोरिंग लगता है, कैसे लग सकता है? इट्स अ क्राइम आई से मैथ बोरिंग लगना। मैथ इज द लैंग्वेज ऑफ द यूनिवर्स, ठीक है। तो ऐसे अलग अलग तरीके अपनाओ, बच्चों को समझ जाएगा। बच्चों को एक तरीके से नहीं समझता, दूसरा तरीके से समझाओ। ट्राई टू फर्स्ट अंडरस्टैंड कौन सा टाइप का बच्चा है, वो सीखता किस तरीके से है, वो पहला तो वो आइडेंटिफाई कीजिए, ठीक है। एटीट्यूड ऑफ ग्रैटिट्यूड पे एक छोटू सा एक स्टोरी है पहला। अच्छा, एक बेसिक चीज जो है टीचर को करना है, एक सिंपल, ये सबको अगर मैं समराइज करना चाहूँ बिकॉज टाइम नहीं है, वी नीड टू ऑलवेज रेज द बार, ऑलवेज रेज द बार एज कंपेयर टू योर यस्टरडे। कल इतना उठा था, जिम जाते हो कभी, जिम गए तो फर्स्ट टाइम अगर तुमने डबल्स उठाई, तो सा उठाया, थक गया, मसल सोर हो गया, सेकंड डे थोड़ा उतना उठाया, फिर थर्ड डे और उठाया। एवरी गॉड डैम डे वी नीड टू रेज द बार of the way you interact, the way you deliver your class, the type of questions you ask, right? And the qualities that you can imbibe in the child. Having said that, I'm going to tell you all a small story. It's a very interesting story called as The Missing Goat. It tells us about the attitude of gratitude. ठीक है, ये पीपीटी देखना, सिर्फ सुनना नहीं, बहुत जरूरी है, शायद अच्छा लगे बच्चों। There's a very important learning from this. ठीक है, we are going to dissect the story. Let's try to understand. It all started on a lazy Sunday afternoon in a small town. छोटा सा शहर था, एक संडे का आफ्टरनून था, lazy Sunday afternoon. Two school-going friends had a crazy idea. ठीक है, They rounded up 3 goats from the neighborhood and painted numbers 1, 2 and 4 on them. इन्होंने क्या किया? आस पड़ोस से 3 बकरियां ले ली और उसके ऊपर पेंट कर दिया नंबर. कौन कौन से नंबर पेंट किए? 1, 2 और 4. ठीक है. That night they let the goats loose inside the school building. उन्होंने स्कूल में जाके बकरियां छोड़ दी. बकरियां ऑब्वियसली स्कूल में गई तो बकरियां थोड़ी ना स्कूल के जैसे चुपचाप पिन ड्रॉप बैलेंस मेंटेन करके बैठेगी. But naturally, the next morning, when the school authorities entered the school, they could smell something was wrong, right? They soon saw the goats' droppings on the stairs and near the entrance and realized that some goats have entered the building. Obviously, वो बकरी है, उसको थोड़ी मालूम क्लासरूम में क्या नहीं करना है, उसको जहाँ पॉटी चिची करना है, सुसु करना है, वो करेगी, right? They soon realized that. And then a search was immediately launched and very soon the 3 goats were found. सब लोग ने ढूंढा, बहुत ढूंढा, कम ढूंढा, लेकिन तीनों बहुत फटाफट से जो है तीनों बकरियां मिल गई. 1, 2 and 4. But the authorities were worried. Where is the goat number 3? बहुत टेंशन में आ गए सब लोग कि भैया 1, 2 और 4 तो मिल गई, हमको तीसरी नंबर की तरह गोट की. ठीक है. They spent the rest of the day looking for the goat number 3. पूरा दिन उन्होंने बर्बाद किया तीसरी बकरी को ढूंढने के लिए. Teachers, helpers, guards were all looking for the goat number 3 and the school was declared off. स्कूल को छुट्टी दे दी गई. बच्चों का तो मकसद यही था खैर, right? But of course, the goat was never found simply because it never existed. Goat number 3 exist ही नहीं किया था कभी. आपको याद है तो बच्चों ने क्या नंबर दिए थे? 1, 2 और 4. बट हुआ क्या? इस पे समझो इस बात को. वो लोग ऐसी चीज को तलाशने में जुटे थे जो कभी चीज थी नहीं, वो एग्जिस्टेंस में ही नहीं थी, उस चीज को ढूंढ रहे थे वो. What do we understand? Many of us, in spite of having a good life, always feel lack of fulfillment. You're actually looking for that missing non-existent goat number 3. सब कुछ अच्छा चल रहा है, बट वो सोशल मीडिया वाली जिंदगी नहीं रही. और ये लोग घूमते ही रह रहे, अभी यार ये लोग खाते ही रह रहे, अभी यार ये लोग जाते ही रह रहे. वो था goat number 3. Social media in today's world is that goat number 3. Whatever the area of complaint or dissatisfaction, relationship, finance, job, achievement, an absence of something is always larger than the presence of many other things. वो negative emotion, negative thought बहुत ज़्यादा attractive होता है. A negative thought will always trump a positive thought in terms of its magnitude and in terms of its attractiveness. Enjoy life with what you have and always thank the Almighty for what He has bestowed upon us. You should always be thankful with what we have. Stop worrying about the goal number 3. Life can be more beautiful and happy without worries. Obviously, we know that. Develop the attitude of gratitude. It turns what we have into enough. बहुत important है. अल्लाह जो है उसमें शुक्र अदा करना सीखो. तो उससे क्या होता है, जो हमारे पास है वो बस हो जाता है, काफी हो जाता है. कि नीड मिल सकती है. नीड्स कुड बी, वांट का एंड नहीं होता है. वांट्स आर एंडलेस, वांट्स आर लिमिटलेस. नीड इज लिमिटेड. मेरा नीड है खाना खाना है, मेरे को जाके JW मैरियट का ब्रंच ही करना है, वो वांट हो गया मेरा. मैं वो कहीं जाके वड़ा पाव खा लूं तो भी मेरा वो नीड पूरा हो जाता है, राइट? It turns denials into acceptance. Attitude of gratitude basically turns denial into acceptance, chaos into order, and confusion into clarity. It makes sense of our past, brings peace to our today, and creates vision for tomorrow. It heals your mind, body, and soul, and attracts more things to be grateful for. It is that important. Attitude of gratitude is nice. What do you mean by that attitude of gratitude? कि भैया जो है काफी है, जो है मैं कर लूंगा. आज मेरे पास एक लैपटॉप है, नहीं यार नया वाला लैपटॉप हो. कल एप्पल का कीनोट था, एप्पल ने नया लैपटॉप लॉन्च किया M1 चिप के साथ. नहीं मेरे को चाहिए. ओके एक्सीलेंट. एप्पल नेक्स्ट ईयर एक और नया चिप डालेगा, M2 चिप डालेगा. देन so the locus of your identity should not be exterior to you basically. ठीक है, हमें जो खुशी मिल रही है, जो दुख हो रहा है, वो should be with the things that are internal to you, that are inside you, not with things that are outside you, right? So goat number 3 से हमेशा याद रखना, goat number 3 को ना ढूंढे, वो है ही नहीं. A couple of books that I recommend you all to read on attitude of gratitude. The first book is called as Attitude of Gratitude: How to Give and Receive Joy Every Day of Your Life. This book was written by M.J. Ryan. It was published on 30th November 1999. The second book would be Words of Gratitude for Mind, Body, and Soul. It is by Robert A. Emmons and Jonah Hill. The third book would be A Simple Act of Gratitude, How Learning to Say Thank You Changed My Life by John Crowling. This book was published on 27th December 2011. These are basically self-help books, and all of us need self-motivation. और motivation खुद से ही आए तो बेहतर है, बाहर से आया तो it doesn't last. I'd like to end. I have 4 minutes. I'd like to discuss So basically, the question is: attitude of gratitude turns denials into acceptance. Classic example. मेरे पास आज ये लैपटॉप है, ये लैग हो रहा है, ठीक है, मुझे एक नया लैपटॉप चाहिए, बट वो बहुत महंगा है, मेरे पास उतने पैसे नहीं है, बट वो वांट है, ठीक है. बट इफ आई हैव द एटीट्यूड ऑफ ग्रैटिट्यूड कि नहीं भैया ये ठीक, मैं काम चल रहा, तो एक मेरा जो डिनायल था कि नहीं ये काम नहीं करेगा, नहीं ये काम करेगा, मैं उससे काम करवा लूंगा, तो ये मेरा डिनायल को मैंने उसको एक्सेप्टेंस में कन्वर्ट कर दिया है. इससे होता क्या है, मेरे ए पैसे बच गए, मेरा बी आई डोंट हैव टू. अच्छा, बहुत सारे लोग क्यों ले रहे हैं, मैं नया लेता हूँ, दिखने में अच्छा है, लोग देखेंगे. तो ए पहला चीज जो ये है कि इफ यू हम बेसिक सिंपल वर्ड में कहो, अगर आप शुक्र मनाते हो हर एक चीज का जो हमारे पास है, तो बहुत सारी चीज जिसको हम डिनाई करते हैं कि यार, डिनाई करते हैं इन व्हाट सेंस कि यार मुझको ये काम नहीं कर रहा है, यार मेरे पास 2 आंखें काम नहीं कर रही, मैं नई आंख लगवा देता हूँ, नॉट दैट, राइट. समझौता कर लो, समझौता चलो, जब वो चलती है उसको चलवाओ, एट द एंड ऑफ द डे वो मर गई, डेड हो गई, तो इट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग. Sorry, I was just talking to someone about that, right? Right. As I said, I just wanted to end it on that gratitude wala side, because gratitude, what talk, comment, add, something additional you want to add to it.